F you, suckers! What's up, everybody? To whom it may concern. This little video right here piqued my interest the other day, so I figured I'd break it down and discuss it. What we have here before us is a discussion, maybe somewhat of a debate between Blair White and Ask Yourself, two YouTubers. The former more prominent by a mile than the latter, with the crux of the debate being basically the fact that Blair White, having been a vegan for a decade and having suffered grave health consequences because of being a vegan, had decided to reintroduce meat products into her diet. She made a video about it, telling her fans, and received some backlash. Ask Yourself being part of that backlash and now wanting to debate, criticize, judge, and attack Blair White for no longer wanting to be part of the vegan coalition, at least not to the degree that he wants her to participate. Is this making any sense? I fucking hope so. But it's late. I'm a little bit tired. I'll try to do my best breaking this fascinating conversation as I saw it. Hopefully you could get something out of this too. Anyway, after all the hellos, how are yous, and other formalities, about 3 minutes into the video is where the crux becomes discussed. I'm gonna try to do this at 1.25 speed with low quality because I don't want you to be distracted by anything. Pay attention.
Okay, well, you let me know. So just to get to the core ethically, I think that, Blair, what pretty much all of the vegans are thinking is, we understand that you had some level of issue with the diet, but is it really, really that hard to just eat the fortified foods or supplement the B12?
I don't know if I mentioned it, but Ask Yourself is a vegan activist and apparently a self-proclaimed representative of the vegan community and most vegans out there. What he said, right? I'm wondering how democratic this election process was, or if it even was an election, or if he just usurped this power because.
It's just a pill. You take it, and then no animal has to get stabbed.
So, fuck it.
Right, and like I said a few times in the stream, I definitely, upon the health issues beginning to arise, I definitely tried for a while to take the necessary supplements. And also, I had been eating fortified foods for the entirety of my run as a vegan, but yet those problems still arose.
Okay, so basically, Ask Yourself is telling Blair White that all she has to do is just take a supplement, right? And her health problems are going to go away. While Blair is saying, look, dude, my health started suffering, even though I was eating fortified foods, right? Eating essentially foods with supplements in them, added to them artificially. And then when these problems started, even though I was supplementing my diet, I engaged in targeted supplementation because of all these problems, right? So she basically just took a ton of fucking supplements, and it didn't work, right? She took a ton of supplements in her food, and then in addition to her food, when the problems arose, as she puts it, and it didn't help because the problems didn't go away, right? So whatever assertion from out of his butthole, ask yourself, pulled out, Blair White just debunked it, right? She just debunked it. So, yeah, that's what that is.
So I'm not quite sure what to say.
Which is why she's confused, right? Because this guy is just pulling shit out of his ass, completely disregarding her experience, right? The fact that she already did that.
I mean,
well, here's one thing I'll say. You don't actually deny that you're capable of getting all your nutrition from a vegan diet, right?
You don't actually deny that you're capable of getting all your nutrition from a vegan diet. Didn't he just admit that you have to take supplements on the vegan diet, right? Dietary supplements not being part of the diet, which is why they are the supplements, right? So you have the vegan diet and then you have the supplements. And now he seems to be saying that you could have a healthful vegan diet, nutritionally complete, if you will, vegan diet without the supplements, when he just agreed or basically insinuated or outright said that you need to supplement the vegan diet, right? Didn't he just contradict himself? I think so.
I do deny that. I don't think you can get all nutrition from a vegan diet. I think you have to supplement on a vegan diet, which is what you think too. You have to.
She just called him out on it, right? You think that? You agree with me? What are you talking about, dude? And this is a well-known fact. At the very least, when it comes to B12, it hits a lot deeper than that. But we don't need to worry about that right now.
Of course, but supplementing is part of the vegan diet, so it's still a vegan diet.
Okay, so he seems to live in his own little bubble where supplements are part of the vegan diet, right? Okay, the world that most people live in, and if you crack open the dictionary, you'll see this, is that, again, a diet is the diet, right? Those are your foods, and supplements are dietary supplements, something you supplement your diet with, should that need arise, right? For whatever reason. So, no, the prevailing paradigm, the majority paradigm, is that, or not majority, but the predominant paradigm, sorry guys, it's a little bit late, is exactly that. If you want to live in your little bubble and hijack words and the meanings thereof, it's a little bit questionable. But maybe it's okay if you're talking to somebody that's from that sphere. But when you're talking to someone who actually goes by the status quo or agrees with the status quo, you stepping into their sphere, you're going to have to assume, if only for the time being, the parameters of the predominant paradigm in order to communicate most efficiently. Okay? Unless he's just contradicting himself, or he realized he was contradicting himself and now he's backtracking a little bit, or maybe there's some desire to not really want to admit that the vegan diet in and of itself is nutritionally deficient. Whatever the case may be, you fucking up, homie.
Okay, when I think of a diet, I think of food, and I think of getting nutrients from the food within that diet. But
yeah, I take your point.
Yeah, that's how this shit works, okay? At least for 99.9, I'm exaggerating, but you get the point, people out there.
You have to supplement B12 for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Make up your mind, goddammit.
So, but point being, a vegan diet, which can include supplementing, you don't actually deny that you can get your nutrients from that diet, right?
No, I said several times in this stream, and possibly in the video, maybe not though, I said that it's perfectly possible to be healthy and be vegan, and also, if I haven't said it already, it's absolutely possible to be deficient on certain nutrients as a meat eater, or as someone who's not vegan, or someone on any diet.
So Blair seems to be very open-minded She doesn't seem to really adhere to any sort of ideology. Uh, she's just, she seems like an open-minded person so far. So good.
Um, it just so happens that for me, whether it's my body composition, whether it's whatever, I found personally that after an extended amount of time of being vegan, my health began being compromised, and I kept.
So she contrasts all the possible scenarios out there when it comes to various people and various diets versus her own personal experience, right?
Did to remedy it with supplements to no avail. And what made me feel better, this is still a fact that it's just not changeable, this fact. What made me feel better and mitigated all those problems was simply reintroducing a small amount of animal foods into my diet.
So she reiterates the fact that she did supplement her vegan, nutritionally deficient vegan diet, and it didn't work. But the thing that did work was reintroducing some animal products back into her diet. Okay? So far, so good? Good.
Yeah, I hear you saying that, and if there's some particular thing you're missing that you're able to make up with from the animal foods, it could be totally true that that would make you feel better. But the point would be, for me, that there's still a way to do that on a vegan diet.
Okay, well, she just provided you with evidence. She conducted a scientific experiment on herself using your methods, and they failed her. And then she tried meat or animal products, as she puts it, and that did work. That was a success. And yet somehow you're pushing this idea that your way, which had already failed her, is more credible than eating animal products, which turn out to be successful. Where's the logic in that?
So,
Right, but I guess I would have to say that like everyone's body is different, and
respond to what you said, though, before we go off. Can we take...
Everybody's body is different. I guess he wasn't trying to hear that because it's a fact. Everybody's different. People have different types of allergies to different types of foods, right? A large amount of Africans are lactose intolerant and less so when it comes to Northern Europeans, for example, right there. What we know about diets from experience, studies, and it's just a fact. This isn't an opinion, it's just a fact. There is no one size fits all diet on this planet. There just isn't. Okay? It's a fact that he doesn't quite seem to want to let her get out there.
Yeah, so for me, it's like, if you're saying, there's kind of two things you could be saying. You could be saying that you agree with the ethics, but you just have a personal health issue, in which case...
Wait a minute. There are only two things she could be saying here? Is he trying to set up a false dichotomy here? I'm not sure. I'm not too good with my policy. Sorry, guys, it's late. Fallacies. Let's try to hear this again.
You agree personal health issue, in which, though, before we go off, can we take... Yeah, so for me, it's like, if you're saying, there's kind of two things you could be saying. You could be saying that you agree with the ethics, but you just have a personal health issue, in which case we can just set you up.
Agree with the ethics? You just have a personal health issue?
A registered dietitian who will actually help you just troubleshoot your way to a proper vegan diet. But...
And then I know how to solve this problem with a nutritionist.
If you're saying even in that situation that wouldn't be enough for you, then it starts sounding to me at that point like you actually are ethically saying you don't have the obligation. So,
but if she doesn't want to do that, then I guess she's unethical in your eyes. So it kind of sounds like, I'm not trying to delve too deeply into this here, but it kind of sounds like it's my way or the highway here. I don't know. Is that fair?
I'm just trying to get where you're coming from.
well, obligation
She already told you where she's coming from.
is a funny word. I mean, obligation to who? Like obligation to the vegan community that's like upset. Obligation to who or what?
I'm glad she called him out on it. This obligation. Wait a minute. Whoa. Hold the fuck up. Obligation. Show me the contract that I signed. Where's this contract that says I'm obligated to these external forces? Where's this contract? Proof, evidence. Can we see this obligation, right? promissory note, something. You can't just make opinionated statements, throw opinions out there and pretend that these are facts, because wouldn't that be sophistry?
Okay, let's get into the ethics. But just to close off the health point, you do agree.
Close off the health point. Let's get into the ethics. Interesting.
So that you can get all your nutrients. So there is a way to do it, even if you haven't found it yourself yet.
There is a way to do it even though you haven't found it yourself yet. Again, I tend to be a little dense sometimes, and I'm not too good with my fallacies, but it kind of sounds like he's trying to get her to prove the negative, or shifting the burden of proof when the burden of proof is on you, buddy. You're the one with the problem. She had a problem. She used what you say is the solution to the problem. It didn't work. She found an alternate solution. It did work, right? Scientific experiment she conducted. She found the solution. Yours didn't work, but you seem to be implying that she didn't do it right, and that you have the solution, even though from where she stands, your solution is no good, buddy. She got the answer. You are saying you have the answer. You can't just say you have the answer. You actually have to prove it. You're not dealing with her shooting in the dark here, right? She already got the answer. Dog, you bring in a fucking knife to a gunfight and you're shifting the burden of proof. The burden of proof is on you, not her. Unless I'm wrong about that, because
Yeah, supplements. I mean, well,
Yeah.
Yeah, supplements, dude. We just talked about supplements. It didn't work.
in general, I think a lot of people could possibly be quite healthy on a vegan diet, including supplements. However, in my personal experience, which was the basis
Opinion, not a fact.
of my video, it was anecdotal, it was my life, it was my experience, it was that supplements and fortified foods still, these health issues still went on. Those health issues were mitigated or completely disappeared upon me reintroducing animal protein.
You think you guys think he's gonna get it? How many times is she gonna have to repeat this before he gets it? I wonder.
I hear what you're saying. You were
I hear what you're saying.
asking me an ethics question, so I want to go to the ethics. I just want.
Fuck your health. Let's talk about ethics. Motherfucker, you been talking about ethics. Does he not understand this? Does he not get this? I don't know. He seems like a smart guy. Talks 90 miles a minute. Why are you framing animals in this case as the ethical issue and not her health? Why do you want to draw this line? Why do you want to exclude this human being's health, well-being, as part of the ethical debate here? You know, if you want to frame it as people versus animals, while at the same time, well, I mean, honestly, what seems to me like this pushing this idea that animals are more important than people. That's kind of what it sounds like, right? When it comes to animals, that's ethic. But when it comes to your health, that's just your health. Those are not the ethics of the vegan debate. Your health does not figure into the ethical debate concerning veganism. That's kind of fucked up.
Make sure that with the health stuff, you're not actually disagreeing that there is a way to get your nutrients from a vegan diet. If you're saying you haven't found it,
If you're saying you haven't found it,
then that's one thing. But
No, you can be healthy.
then that's one. No, right. She looked and she didn't find it. So if you have a solution, right, you're going to have to debunk her methods. You're going to have to pinpoint where exactly she went wrong, right? You're going to have to provide an alternate solution with a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, not an empty promise, not an idea pushed as logic, ideology. You're going to have to come with some facts, evidence, science. You fucking with science, right? You fucking with the personal science experiment that she conducted and successfully completed, right? You bringing a fucking knife to a gunfight, acting like you're in a fucking armored tank. Fuck out of here.
You can be a healthy vegan and you can be an unhealthy meat eater. That's undeniable.
And just to be clear, you, including literally you, Blair White.
I'm not quite sure because I diversified my diet as much as I possibly could. I ate fortified foods. I did the supplement thing, and those problems still persisted. So Blair White, for whatever reason, you know what I mean? Like maybe I should go to more doctors and more nutritionists, whatever. It didn't really work out.
Okay, so she ate a wide variety of foods, fortified foods, right? So her foods had supplements in them, and then on top of that, she took more supplements. But that's not good enough? What? Fuck.
Okay, so, because there's just two things on the table. There's the health and there's the ethics. And if you're saying that you think you can't...
They're one and the same.
...your health on the vegan...
It's really interesting how he wants to differentiate between those two, as if, again, her health wasn't part of the ethical debate here. Complete and utter disregard for this person's well-being, while at the same time seemingly pushing or seeming to care, maybe he does, I don't know, about the well-being of animals. Not people, just animals. Yeah, that's very ethical.
Diet. I mean, that creates, in a lot of people's minds, a legitimate ethical case to not, to eat animals, to not...
Oh, I see what the problem is. It kind of looks like cracks in the ideology of veganism have developed, and you want to put a little Band-Aid over them, huh?
Vegan. So it would be important to get the health argument sort of off the table before going to the ethics.
Okay, well...
Let's get your well-being off the table as quickly as we can so that we could just talk about the animals.
Let me put you as a question. If you can't actually name a single thing that you can't acquire from vegan diet, then how can you possibly say that it's not possible? And
you can't, but didn't we already agree that B12? I mean, this is a well-known fact that there's not enough B12 or no B12. Vegan diet is deficient in B12. Vegans are notoriously, unless they supplement their diet with dietary supplements, are notoriously low on B12. So, another contradiction.
And let me add to that. You even said when you got your blood work or whatever it was done, there were specific things that you were deficient in. So it would just be a matter of getting something in there to give you those nutrients.
Oh, how simple, right? You're low on these nutrients, so just take a supplement. But she already did that.
Right, and like I said, I attempted that for quite a while. I attempted that for probably 3 or 4 months.
And it didn't work. Look, let me entertain you for a while for people who were sitting there scratching their head. Wait a minute, so she was B12 deficient. You're telling me she took B12 and she was still B12 deficient? How can that be? Right? Maybe that's ask yourselves dilemma right here. Okay, let me try to explain this as best as I can. Now, and I'm not saying that vitamin C is necessarily that vitamin that's like that, but there are vitamins and nutrients that are. So there's vitamin C in an orange, liver, and a supplement, right? And even though on paper they're all called vitamin C because their molecular structure is very similar, it's not exactly the same. And there are other factors that determine their bioavailability, right, to our bodies. Factors such as, who knows, maybe your race, maybe your gender, maybe all these other things that are unaccounted for, right? This isn't as simple as, oh, you're deficient in B12, so all you got to do is take B12. I mean, okay, in most cases, maybe so. Clearly not in her case, right? Clearly not in her case. So all vitamins are not created equal, basically. Why? Well, because one comes from an orange, another one comes from a liver, goat liver, let's say, delicious, by the way, and another one comes from a lab. And again, even though they're very similar when it comes to their molecular structure, and on paper it sounds like one and the same, it actually isn't. And they're not, and I'm not saying that vitamin C from an orange or a pill is necessarily worse than that same, or what's called the same vitamin on paper from a liver. But what I am saying is that maybe for her, in her individual case, a certain source of a certain vitamin is better than another source. And clearly, again, the experiment she ran on her body would seem to suggest that, supervised by an MD, by the way. And I don't seem to, I'm not trying to be pulling rank here, you know what I mean? But if you're going to bring up nutritionists that could solve this problem, it's kind of what you're doing, right? Except, again, you're bringing knife to a gunfight because, you know, some certified vegan nutritionist doesn't exactly trump a doctor. So if you're gonna pull rank, if indeed that is what's happening, again, I'm not great with my fallacies, but if you are gonna pull rank, make sure that, you know, you're playing with the king going up against a queen or a 10 or a 9. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that your general is a higher ranked general than the one Blair in this case is working with. I really hope that makes sense, right?
With no change to the health issues I was experiencing.
Okay, so did you actually go back and make sure that you had your levels proper?
Like, go back a second time and get my levels checked? No, I did not, because all the problems were still there.
Okay, so do you, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but do you see the problem with what you're saying right there?
There's no problem with what she's saying.
Not really, because if I go to the doctor because of issues that are happening, and the doctor says supplement or stop being vegan, I attempt to supplement because my first instinct was, of course, to not stop being vegan. My first instinct was to remain vegan. I'm supplementing, and those issues are still, like, if not even worse, they're still there.
Okay.
Then obviously the supplementation did not work. So the doctor gave me two options: don't be vegan or supplement. I tried the first option, didn't work. Tried the second option, it worked, and I feel great.
Logic. Okay, so let me try to break this down for Ask Yourself. I want to talk to him like he's 5 because he seems to demand it. Blair had a problem, and the way she knew she had a problem is because she had certain symptoms. She went to the doctor, got her blood work done, and the doctor said, you're deficient in this, and that. So supplement with this, and that, or eat meat. So she supplemented for this, and that problem with this, and that supplement. And guess what? The symptoms didn't go away. The symptoms, which alerted her to the problem in the first place, persisted, meaning, I don't know, maybe logically, that there's no need to get your blood work done because, hey, guess what? The symptoms are still there. I really hope that makes sense.
Okay, so what I'm implying is the problem with that is that you took the option of the supplements, but you didn't actually make sure that you were taking these things in the proper amount to correct for the issues that you were having. So
I guess it doesn't make sense. Huh.
You want to make sure that you're actually addressing your issues with the supplement method before saying this isn't effective.
Yeah, but that's exactly what she did. You're just rejecting her claims and maybe not understanding them, maybe calling her a liar. I'm not sure.
Okay, I mean, I see what you're saying. I'm just like...
She's totally rolling her eyes at him like, dude, how do you don't get this? What the fuck?
Yeah. It's not a gotcha. I just think it's an honest, fair point. That's all.
It's not an honest, fair point. You completely rejected what she said, and then you repeated she should do what she already did. This is delusion of the highest order.
No, it is a fair point. I don't think anything you said is unfair. I just...
I wouldn't concede that, Blair, but it is what it is.
So I think, like I said in the video, you know, when it comes to ethics, it's like, I don't really see much ethical about, like, willingly putting a detriment on my own health. Like, I found what works.
Bingo! She's trying to bring her health into the ethical debate, and he wants to reject her health. It's not important to him, right? Because he's the ethical guy here, and she's the unethical one. Get it? Got it? Good. Logic!
I found what made me feel better. And, like, things happen and life changes, and maybe someday my body will communicate to me that, like, I should probably go back to being vegan. Like, that could very well happen. But I read my body. My doctor read my body. It communicated to me that I needed to stop cutting out these major food groups out of my diet. And since, you know, not cutting them out anymore, like, maybe it sounds dramatic, but like my life has kind of changed. Like I've
Is it me, or does she seem to be tearing up just a little bit? She seems tormented by this individual, while at the same time remaining open-minded, right? Even though she dedicated a decade of her life and it just backfired, she just wants to feel better right now. She wants to fix it, and then she seems open-minded and willing to try veganism again. Maybe she's not. She's very cooperative, right? Conscientious. Really seems to care about veganism for whatever reason. She's down for the cause, but not at her own peril.
like I said in the stream, way more energy. My weight was starting to go up when those problems were occurring. It's now gone down. Like things are just completely better.
Just
Meat made her feel great. Not supplements, meat. Sorry, animal products. And let's not misrepresent what she says.
for the sake of argument, I'll just take whatever anecdote you give at face value because
Anecdote. Oh yeah, let's try to denigrate her personal experience down to a level of an anecdote. Now, yes, it's anecdotal, but that would only really make sense if she were trying to push her way of eating onto other people as the most healthful way of being, which she isn't. Yes, it's just a case study, an anecdote. It's just a case study. But the case that's in question is herself. What are you trying to push here? You're trying to tell me that some study on some Asian people on a continent far, far and away eating foods that come from a completely different place, but maybe bear some resemblance to what she was eating before. Because that study, which you never read yourself actually, or took a very critical look at, you're going to tell me that study is how the conclusions that you are going to draw from an abstract that you read from that study, right? I'm exaggerating. It's an extreme example, but you get the point. You're going to tell me that that's more important in what Blair should do, that study is going to provide a better solution for this person than her own personal experiment that she ran on her own body and succeeded finally. That's somehow more credible in dictating to this person what she should do, because her experience is anecdotal. Now, I'm no genius here, but where's the logic here?
I don't think it affects the fundamental point, which is that, well, at least the fundamental point with respect to health, which is that you didn't actually make sure that you were supplementing properly. So you don't actually know that you had corrected for the issues. So my guess would...
Prove it. Prove it. How do you know that? She just told you. She went to the doctor did the blood work, and the doctor said, do this, and that, right? Right? But somehow she didn't do it correctly. Prove it. Evidence. Where's the evidence? How do you know? How do you push your opinion as a fact? How do you do that? Sophistry.
If you were still experiencing the issues, the kind of obvious conclusion would be that you didn't actually address the issues properly.
Clearly, he doesn't know, or maybe pretends he doesn't know anything about nutrition or the bioavailability of certain vitamins.
Very well may not have been giving myself the proper dose of supplementation when I was doing that. But it's like I keep going. It's like the fact remains. Like I fixed the issue. I fixed the issue.
No.
Exactly, right? Like, I'm good now. You telling me to take more of the shit that didn't work? I know it didn't work, but you just got to take more of it. Okay. Not the stuff that worked and fixed the problem. The stuff I tell you to take because... Why? Evidence. Arguments. Not just feelings and ideology, but logic. Come on, man. You're better than that.
I hear you, but the reason why it's not satisfying to just hear I fixed the issue is because there's a way to fix the issue where you don't have to kill the animals, right? So
It's not satisfying to hear I fixed the issue, because if you just keep doing what you were doing that didn't work, you're going to fix the issue. Okay. Good job, buddy.
let me ask you a question. If we were able to, which we are able to get a registered dietitian, or a few of them, to help you troubleshoot your way to a proper vegan diet.
Ooh, so we went from one registered dietitian, or whatever. Now we're up to a few, right? Why? Well, because I believe this is an appeal to authority, or pulling rank, right? Registered dietitian. Ooh, well, sounds like an expert, right? Sounds like somebody who knows more about this shit than you do, right? Maybe he's pulling rank here. I'm not sure. Just because you're a registered dietitian, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're right. You could just be a money-hungry scumbag looking to make money off this new trend that's called veganism. Maybe. But because she countered a dietitian with a doctor, which is, higher rank general to a sergeant, now he upped the ante with a few. Not just one, but a few. I mean, come on, man. Oh, silly boy.
Would that change your mind? And if the answer is no, then it seems like we need to have a debate about the ethics and whether this should actually matter to you.
You've been talking about ethics, but somehow you don't want to acknowledge her well-being as part of the ethical debate. But let's move on past that.
Like I said to a few questions in the live stream, I don't really think that at this point I would consider going back. Like I said, things change. Maybe it'll change. But at this point, having identified the issue and fixed it, I don't really feel like going back into troubleshooting mode.
I had a problem. I fixed it because I suffered. Now you're telling me I need to suffer because me fixing it isn't good enough because animals are suffering. So he's basically weighing her suffering against the suffering of animals. Except he wants to obfuscate her suffering and paint it as this health issue. He doesn't want to really. She's standing in front of a scale. On the one side you have animal suffering, on the other side you have me suffering, and she keeps putting her suffering on the scale, and he keeps taking it off the scale, right? That's basically what's going on here, because he's the ethical person here and she isn't, right? Logic, people.
I feel like going back when the problem is fixed.
So just to be clear, even if the health issues can be adequately addressed and you can be perfectly healthy on a vegan diet, you would not be willing to do that?
That's a completely hypothetical scenario. Now, he could be right. You got to give him that. He could be right here, but you got to have some evidence to back your points, bro. You can't just have a completely hypothetical scenario and put that up against actual factual science and positive results that actually fix the problem, right? You're bringing a knife to a gunfight, acting like you're inside of a fucking armored tank.
Probably not now. No, maybe later. Probably not right now, though, because I'm enjoying the fact that those issues are now gone. Like, they were actually very, very bad issues. I don't feel like going back into troubleshooting mode and like taking stuff and like waking up every day like I'm a fucking like 80-year-old sickly person. Like, when we take this pill and this pill and this pill, that's not what I want to do with my life at all. So
good for you, and props for standing your ground. Waking up feeling like an 80-year-old person. I mean, dude, that's some severe shit. I don't know how old she is. 30, maybe? I don't know. But that's serious. That's not just like a little nutrient deficiency, right? Or you just didn't take enough of this or that vitamin, right? That sounds like a serious deficiency. That sounds like, if you know anything about bioavailability of these nutrients and the fact that they're not all created equal, that should point you in the direction of they're just not the right kind of nutrients, especially since a little bit of meat solved the problem. Duh.
right now, no.
Yeah, okay, well...
Sorry, animal products.
I mean, if you're talking to a registered dietitian, they're not going to have you in some horrible trial cycle. They're going to give you very simple and basic advice. But, okay, so if what you're saying...
Very simple and basic advice. Well, that's what her doctor did. And decide again what you're suggesting didn't work and animal products did. Dude, you're going to have to take an L on this one because you're a little bit desperate.
Is that even if the health stuff can be perfectly addressed, you would not see the burden to go vegan. Then that's when it becomes appropriate to talk about the ethics.
Yeah, ethics.
So the question I would put to you, which I put to you earlier, but I think you misread what I said. It had an if, you read it as an is, and it caused the whole thing to sound kind of bungled. So you agree, obviously, that it's wrong to stab a human to death. To eat their
Whoa, 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 whoa. We're stabbing people now? Why?
See, this is where it's like, I almost don't see the point of doing this. It's like, you have to understand, I was vegan for 10
Yep, this shit's dumb.
years. I have watched every vegan video on YouTube. I have seen every vegan debate. I have heard every single of it. Like, it's like I know exactly what you're going to say before you say it.
Okay. Well, Blair, if you've heard it all, then let me ask, do you think that the ethical argument is wrong?
I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but that doesn't mean...
The ethical argument is an argument. Just because she failed as a vegan, that doesn't mean she doesn't empathize or that she sees no value in the argument, right? Like, why is everything so black and white?
That I think it's right for me to put a detriment on my health. I just don't. I believe that there's a...
Once again, she's putting her health on the ethics scale, and he's just smacking it off.
...to exist on this planet and doing what you can, what's within reason to minimize your footprint on the planet, minimize suffering, etc., without putting a detriment to your own health, which is why, like I said, I intend on being vegan in areas where I can. I'm not going to be buying makeup by CoverGirl, which tests on animals in China, okay? I'm not going to be buying makeup that has vegan, non-vegan ingredients, okay? I'm going to make ethical choices in buying animal foods where I can. But, like, this all or nothing attitude is something that after 10 years, after a decade, which, like I said, is almost the entirety of my life having agency to eat what I want, I chose to eat vegan, it does weigh you down. It wore me down mentally, it wore me down socially, it wore me down my body, my health, and I fixed the issue, I addressed the issue.
That's a very reasonable, logical, and yet still conscientious position.
Yeah, but we had just moved to ethics.
Yeah, but let's just move to ethics, right? He just smacked her well-being off the scale again.
Right, because you had said that even if we can fix the health stuff, you still don't see the motivation. You still don't see a reason.
It's not that I don't see the...
Straw man argument. That's not what she said. 10 years. She did this shit for 10 years. Yeah, she's not motivated. She's more motivated than you.
Motivation. I saw the motivation for 10 years.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
I watched every vegan movie where you see a pig getting stabbed in the head and going into a seizure. I've seen every vegan movie with chickens crammed into a cage suffering. I've seen
yeah,
all of it, and all of it very much gives you an emotional reaction and very much makes you want to be vegan. But none of it inspires me to be vegan enough to compromise my own health. It just doesn't.
Okay, so she became clearly a vegan because of emotional reasons. And then, when she got these health problems and resorted to science and logic, she realized that, even though fifis are important, so is logic when it comes to, living, and happily at that. So even though she still feels, she's allowed logic to reign supreme over her feelings, right? That's, again, very reasonable. That's a logical position. That's nothing but respectable, right?
It's weird because I'm having a hard decision of whether I just want to try to relate to you or try to hammer the point.
This is fascinating, at least to me. They're understanding one another, but yet not, right? Now he's talking about his feelings, or maybe he's manipulating her, I'm not sure. Now he's talking about his feelings and then attempting to be logical, right? Trying to have a logical debate as he sees it, right? He presents this moral dilemma he seems to be struggling with. It's difficult, right?
So I'll make the point.
Why don't we do both?
but oh man, that was difficult, right? I'll make the point. Listen to it again, right? He says, I'm struggling of whether or not to hammer the point or empathize with you. So I'll make the point.
I mean, we're both just.
hammer the point through. So whether I just want to try to relate to you or try to hammer the point through. So I'll make the
Well,
point.
why don't we do both? I mean, we're both just people on this planet. Right?
And she's saying, well, let's do both because that's where I'm at right now. Like, I still feel for the animals, but I got to be logical here, right? And he doesn't want that.
It's a bit hard to do both at once, but like,
See? Very, very all or nothing, right? My way or the highway. Very authoritarian.
on an emotional level, I just kind of want to get you to empathize with what's happening
But then again, it's not like the vegans voted him in to represent them all, did they?
to the animals. I mean, you know full well, it's ridiculous for us to be bolt gunning a cow in the head and stabbing it. I think.
Whoa! Bro, you can't push your opinion as fact, and especially push it on other people. Is it ridiculous? Why? I mean, maybe it is. I'm not saying it isn't, but we've been doing it forever. Which, again, I'm not saying that that's the justification for why we do it, but we have been doing it forever. So you're going to have to convince us that it is ridiculous. Not just say it is. You're actually going to have to convince us because the burden of proof is on you. You're the one with the problem. She solved hers. Logic, brother.
You it's crazy, and we shouldn't be doing
As
that.
old as I was, once I hit an age where I actually had like enough knowledge of factory farming to understand what happens to animals, I've always fucking hated it.
Yeah.
It's an ugly truth of the world we live in. Okay, it's hideous.
Okay, let me say this. I think that you hate it because you're a good person. So I think that you should, and I'm not trying to just pander to you, but I think that if you were a bad person, you wouldn't hate it.
He's not trying to pander. You sure about that? Well, she's been getting in touch with her feelings, so it seems to me like he's gonna try to get in touch with her feelings too, so that maybe he can manipulate them, right? A lot of emotional arguments from Ask Yourself. Very, very sophisticated debater, right? Lots of sophistry.
It just seems to me like you should just act in accordance with that. And I know you can say, oh, the health stuff.
He wants her to act in accordance with her feelings, right? Not logic, feelings.
The health stuff, but it's like, Blair, we have a whole
Fuck all the health stuff. We got a whole...
community of people here. There are tons and tons.
Oh, shit. So you went from a nutritionalist, certified, sorry, to a few, and now a whole community. God damn, man. He's fucking pulling out all the stops. Give me a break.
Of registered dietitians. There's people who you can just have on DM with you who are on call to respond to you because people care about people like you who have influence going vegan.
Oh, they care. It's not that they're trying to tap into this burgeoning, somewhat new market, right? It ain't about profits. It's about people. Yeah, okay. Nice sales pitch, buddy.
Who will literally coach you through whatever you need to get you on a healthy diet. And
Pro bono, I'm sure, right? Because they care.
I have a hard time believing. Like, it's just, I don't
Yeah, because that's all you got, buddy. Belief. That's all you got. No facts, no evidence, nothing. Just belief.
think that your true self wants to sit there going, I care more about not having to pop a pill
Oh, God, he is so trying to manipulate her emotionally.
once or twice a day than
Good cop, bad cop. Good cop, bad cop.
how. It's just, it seems a little crazy.
I see what you're saying.
I know you do. So why not just, I mean, how long is it? Okay, sorry, I cut you off. Did you want to say something there?
Oh, what a nice guy. Yeah, right.
I think I was just gonna say like I said, I've heard every single pro-vegan, anti-vegan, and even just like a vegan argument. A vegan.
Look at her eyes. Look at how, even though we can't see him, right, she's still not facing him, so to speak. She ain't having it, man. She's rejecting all the bullshit because bullshit it is.
As in like just kind of like not vegan, but anti-vegan. I just heard all of it, and it's like I understand all of them on both sides, having now been on both sides.
Do you understand both sides though? Because it sounds like you understand our side. I'm not getting from you that you understand the side of stabbing a cow for no reason.
This is very fascinating to me because you have essentially two vegans who, no doubt, and Ask Yourself recognizes this, have spent a significant amount of time, a decade for Blair, on a certain side, the vegan side of the debate, right? So you essentially have two vegans debating against each other, and one of them is pushing veganism hardcore, and Blair, the other vegan, or someone who wants to be vegan, someone who was down with the ideology, maybe not so much now, not 100% anyway, who has, once again been trained in defending veganism, is now finds herself on the other side of the fence and is actually doing an excellent job of, well, debunking Ask Yourself and completely winning the debate. Now, that might not seem as so to a lot of people who don't understand what's going on here, or because they think that just because the sophist in this case is being more aggressive, more persistent, and more sophisticated of a debater, if only because Blair is not feeling very well right now and she's under duress, right? Even though it may seem to unsophisticated, if you will, people, that Ask Yourself is actually winning this debate, nothing could be further from the truth. And it's quite telling that someone, again, who is trained in actually defending the vegan side, now that she kind of has one foot on the other side, it's so easy for her to debunk at least certain aspects of veganism. Why? Because that shit is easy work. Want to debate Ask Yourself? Huh? Want to debate me? Easy work.
It seems to me like.
But here's the thing. You go to like understanding the side of stabbing a cow. It's like.
Well, just because you said.
I'm not going to the side of like enjoying the stabbing of cows. Like I.
No, I didn't say you enjoy it. Just to be clear, I didn't say you enjoy it, but you're willing to support it though.
It's like willing to support it. On what level? It's like I don't support.
Like with rape. When you recognize that's wrong.
Whoa! Rape? What the fuck, man? This guy's just like rape. Is he not getting enough attention here? Is that why he's, yelling rape? Because he wants more attention? Like, what the fuck does rape have to do with this shit? Let me know.
You don't think any level of rape is okay? You say that is wrong, I won't do that.
It's just like now we're getting into the cows are being raped. It's like I know all of it. Yeah.
I wasn't going there. I wasn't specifically talking about cows getting raped. I'm just pointing out.
What the fuck? Cows get raped? Oh, this is devolving into something that's just fucked up.
Oral attitude in other situations when you understand something is wrong is not something like, and how much do I need to reduce this? You're just like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. So look, I don't want to eat up all your time on here either.
That's not what she said. That's a complete strawman argument once again. Clearly, she's tormented. Clearly, she's perplexed. Clearly, she doesn't feel all right with her decision, but clearly, she feels she has no choice. That is not what she said. You have not taken the effort to understand her position at all. Ask Yourself, at all. Because you're the ethical guy here.
Cool, I'm just showing, but it's like what I have an issue with after 10 years of being vegan and giving 10 years of my life to the movement or the cause, whatever you want to call it, is this like all or nothing attitude, which I think turns off a shitload of people from
absolutely right.
Potentially reducing their footprint, so to speak, which is a huge goal of veganism, right? Like, I think that like if people can't accept that after 10 years of not eating a single animal product, of not buying anything knowingly that came from an animal, of really being involved in veganism, if they can't accept that like after 10 years of that, I'm just going to a vegan on a cosmetic level and as ethical as possible on a food level, I don't really know what I could possibly say that would make any of the vegans that are upset be like, okay, that's fine.
How do you not empathize with her position? A decade. Something like 85% of people who try the vegan diet, they go back to eating animal products, right? They can't stick with it. Going vegan for 10 years, I mean, how many of those people are actually out there? Few and far between, right? She's invested into the ideology, into the diet more, a lot more than the average vegan out there. And yet, here she is because it failed her and she decided for logic, on some level at least, to take over emotion and so she could be well again, right? After she invested so much and ruined her health, at least to a degree, and invested so much more than the average vegan out there. Now she has to deal with people who haven't invested half as much, a tenth of as much as she did into this ideology, judging her, right? I mean, give me a fucking break because they're the more ethical ones. Oh man, you gotta love this shit.
Well, there's some people who will probably just hate you always now, but I don't think they're most. I think most people would just understand that it's like a lapse, and
Oh, okay. You're just a little bit wrong. See, he's playing good cop, bad cop again. Well, most people will hate you, but not everybody. They'll forgive you if you just come back to. It's just a lapse. Just come back to veganism. Come start suffering again, and this nihilist cult. And I'm not talking about veganism in general. Will accept you once again.
if you came around and expressed an understanding of the ethics, my personal bet would be that most people would not see it as a bad thing. Um,
Is he trying to bribe her?
Also, how do I want to say this? You said that there's a black and whiteness that bugs you, and it seems like you want to be able to say, what's wrong with me eating just a little bit of meat? It's not like I'm going crazy here. I want to eat my veggie wrap most of the time. I just want to have a little bit of meat. I think that you have the same kind of black...
Just for the record, I eat meat every day, twice a day, at least.
and white attitude when it comes to anything that involves stabbing a human, right? I mean, I think that you'd have that kind of black and white attitude with anything that involves...
Whoa. Now we're stabbing people all of a sudden? I mean, there were cows getting raped 5 minutes ago, and now people are getting stabbed? Dude, like, come the fuck on. False equivalence, anybody? Like, what's up with these fallacious arguments? This kid just yelling, rape, murder! Get a hold of yourself, bruh.
Totally just barbaric, needless murder. Like, do you see me as unreasonably black and white?
A little bit, because I think that,
Duh.
that you kind of fall under the category of like mostly isn't good enough, which I think is on a technical level, like,
You know, she's very patient with him and cooperative to a degree, but at the same time standing her ground. And, you know, it's difficult. And he doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that to the fullest, at least. You know, he seems to, on some level, maybe I'm wrong, he seems to kind of enjoy tormenting her.
if you wanted to see a hypothetical world where there were no animals being killed for consumption by humans, if that's the world you wanted to see, which I think it is, like, to get there, right? The vehicle to get there, in my opinion, is not going to be this attitude of you have to be 100% vegan. I think what's going to happen if we ever reach a point where that's the reality, where no animals are being consumed for food, it's going to be because society, by and large, shifts to a minimal meat diet or to a minimal animal product diet, and over time it becomes obsolete. It's not going to be by pressuring people, by shaming people, or by telling people that, I know you gave up 10 years to veganism, I know you're still kind of mostly vegan, but it's not good enough. I don't think that that is productive.
I don't agree with that goal for moral reasons, but I think if you do believe in veganism, that's a very reasonable position, right? That's a very, very, very reasonable, respectable position.
That's good for anyone's community. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, I understand you feeling upset because there's a community that you're a part of for a long time.
Oh, he's trying to relate to her, right? He's manipulative.
Gave you a lot of props that jumped down your throat very quickly. So I get where you're coming from there, but I still don't think it...
Have people jump down your throat very quickly because veganism ruined your health and you decided to eat animal products again? No? Then you don't understand and you can't relate. Quit playing.
Justifies your position. Because, like, when you talk about you want to do just a little bit of eating animal products, it's like, Okay, what's the easiest way to
Well,
say it?
correction, really quick.
Yeah.
It's not that I want to eat animal products.
Did he just strawman her? I'm glad she picked up on it.
Okay.
It's that I have found that my body.
I
I,
hear you.
I mean, I keep going back to it, but it's like that's the reason I stopped being vegan, so it's relevant. It's like it's not that I'm like I did.
He really doesn't want to talk about her health, does he? Her body, how she feels, right? Man, he keeps her at. She keeps taking her off the ethical scale, man, because he cares.
Crack one day after 10 years of like I really want to eat a steak. That's not even me now. Like I don't even have the taste buds for that kind of shit.
And just for the record, in case some of you are not aware, she's not an isolated case. There are tons of people, long-term vegans, who suffer dire health consequences, right?
It's it's that like I addressed a problem with my body because of it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you seem to be saying that even if we can address all the health
I hear what you're saying, but, lots of buts with this guy, man.
stuff, you still wouldn't change. Is that still your feeling, or are you now saying
Well,
it's purely the health?
it's because you're telling me if we hypothetically addressed all of the health stuff, would you change? But I've addressed the health stuff. Like I've fixed.
Yeah, we're back at fucking square one. This guy just can't. He just can't get a fucking clue, right? He completely rejects her reality, which is the more credible reality at this point in time, unless you have evidence to the contrary, and he hasn't presented any. So we're just gonna have to take science over your fifis, buddy. Like, get a fucking clue. It's like a dude trying to ask a girl out to the prom, and she's just dropping hints left and right, and he's so fucking desperate he can't just get a fucking clue, man. It's like he thinks that if he's just persistent enough, she's gonna cave.
Issue.
Well, you've addressed it, but there's a way to address it where you don't have to kill animals.
Proof, evidence, please, thank you.
I mean, don't like just being real. I don't want to get too in like debate mode, but isn't it obvious to you that that's the better thing to do here?
Just being real, right? She has real life experience, a science project, if you will, a scientific experiment, right, with real fucking results. And he claims to be the real one when all he has is ideology, right? She has logic on her side. He has ideas that he wants to turn into logic. Fuck out of here.
I mean, you can literally just get the nutrients on a vegan diet. Plenty of people will help you. It can be easily solved.
Oh yeah, easy peasy.
Here's the thing.
I'm not interested in dating you. You're fucking ugly, you're a creep, and you stink just a little bit.
I didn't go longer than like a week, the entirety of my vegan run of 10 years, without eating fortified foods that advertised that had B12 and vitamin D and all this shit. Like, I was constantly eating fortified foods.
I hear what you're sorry.
I hear what you're. Sorry.
Like, it's not like I ignored all that shit. It really is not.
But you didn't actually make sure that you're eating them in the right quantity.
In the right quantity. That's interesting. Look, he could be right? But she had severe deficiencies. Well, at the same time eating the red flag, if you will, supplement, right? Nutrients. We know B12 is a big one and whatever else it was. And she targeted those specific deficiencies. She was well aware of the potential problems, and she went out of her way to not only eat fortified foods, but also supplements. Now, it's conceivable that she didn't eat quite enough of those, even though she was so on top of it and so conscious. It's possible, but that still wouldn't logically account for a grave fucking deficiency. This is a point where maybe she would have been a little bit deficient. You know what I'm saying? This is a point in the debate where you're going to have to acknowledge that maybe the nutrients, the form in which these nutrients were presented to her body wasn't bioavailable enough. And as soon as she ate fucking meat or animal products, the problems were solved. You can't, this is such a strong signal. There's all this noise and this this signal on the fucking radar that's just saying, yeah, pick me, I'm the one, yes, here, over here, right? But she's supposed to ignore it. Why? Because of your fifis. Fuck out of here.
But how practical is it to expect people to go vegan and then have to deal with they're
Well,
like they're fine. Like to talk about like, well, just seek a nutritionist and do this and do that. It's like some people, I'm not one of them, but some people like don't have the money to pay for supplements once a week, don't have the like nutritionists around them to do this shit. Like it's very, it's not practical or sustainable over a very long period of time. For me, I sustained it for 10 years and then it became unsustainable.
well, okay. Just when you use the word seek, you wouldn't even have to seek. There's plenty of people who will come to you just because of who you are and what you do.
So we're playing semantics now?
Well, that's me, but I mean like
Yeah.
people in general.
Just for the sake of the conversation, though, let's just focus it in on you instead of other people.
Okay.
So yeah, when you're talking about the supplements, you said the two things that you're deficient in were B12 and D3.
It was more than 2. I got my levels checked almost a year ago, so I don't remember everything, but it was definitely more than 2. Those were just the astronomy deficient in it. But
I'm no health expert. There's people who can go deep on health with you. I think I know enough about it to talk about this basic stuff, but like you can take a multivitamin and you can
I'm no health expert, but even though you took all these supplements and you basically subjected yourself to very, very specific targeted supplementation, well, you didn't do it right. All you gotta do is take a multivitamin. Just take them all at once. You know what I mean? Because I'm no health expert. I'm no health expert, but I got the solution. Your doctor couldn't help you. You did everything right. It didn't work. But I'll help you out by suggesting a multivitamin because I'm no health expert. Fuck out of here, kid, man. You're so desperate.
take your B12 and it'll be fine. It's not like you're popping some crazy pills.
Just take your B12. You're low on B12. Take your B12. Bioavailability? What does that mean?
What's I mean, I'm not trying to push too hard on you, Blair, but
Really? You could have fooled me, bruh.
I'm trying to be honest with you too.
Honest! Oh, well, you're failing. Maybe you're trying, but you're failing.
What is so hard about that?
what's hard about that
Is he seriously just going to, beat a dead horse? Really? Fuck.
is that it's not, in my opinion, sustainable. No person. It's very difficult to supplement for your entire life. At some point, and there are very few people online. I mean, there's some, but especially vegan YouTubers. Like, there's very few people that have done as long as I did. 10 years is a fucking long time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
And a lot of the people that have failed and have ruined their health. Fact. Look it up.
like so when it comes to that, it's like there's not that many people that are on there really giving their experience of what it's like to burn out after 10 years. Like, I got burnt out. That's really the long and short of it, is I got burnt out.
I'm not sitting here giving you shit.
But all those people that just turned vegan yesterday, right? They're somehow entitled to judge this person, man. Wow, this community, man. Whoo. Not sure community is the right word for it, but hey.
For your 10 years, I think that's a good thing to do. It's longer than I've been vegan. But when we're talking about supplements, I mean, you understand that the government and bodies that prescriptions.
So we went from one nutrition certified nutritional expert or whatever the fuck nutritionist, right, to a couple, then a few heaps, and we're just gonna have to pull out the big guns and bring the government into it, right? Oh my God, he's just scaling this shit up.
How we should eat, that they will tell you everyone should be taking a B12. Everyone should be taking a multivitamin. It's what they recommend for the average person, not just for vegans. Yeah, B12 deficiency is...
If that's what they recommend for the average person, that doesn't mean everybody should be. Just the average people, you know what I mean? Know what I mean?
a bit higher percentage among vegans, but it happens to carnists too. It's something...
It happens to carnists too. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but I hear vegan juxtaposed against carnist as an equal and opposite, right? Or equally on the exact opposite end of the scale, right? That's how these two terms are often juxtaposed. And maybe that's why he doesn't quite understand what he's saying here, right? Because even people that eat meat, some meat, are deficient in vitamin D, right? But why is that? Why do you think that is? Because these statistics don't take into account people that the equal exact opposite of a vegan, right? Somebody that eats nothing but animal products. We don't have those people. Well, I'm one of them. But these so-called carnists are actually 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 95% vegan, which is probably why they're deficient in B12 or whatever the fuck, which is probably why they're deficient in these nutrients, but just a little bit less than the vegans. Why? Because they're mostly vegan. That they're not entirely vegan. They just don't eat enough meat not to be deficient in those vitamins. I really hope that makes sense, but fuck. Common and sense no longer seem to go together these days. Give me a fucking break.
That everyone is recommended to deal with.
I'm aware, and like I said, like you can be a meat, cheese, and egg eater and be deficient in hella shit. People.
I would like to see some evidence, Blair. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you should back your claims.
Out here walking around eating nothing but like McDonald's and like steak every day, like probably not gonna have many vitamins in your system.
We're talking 2 vitamins though. I mean, you can take a
but we're not talking 2. It was more than 2. Granted, in the video, those were the main 2 I mentioned, but I definitely said it was more than 2 because of.
Yeah, I mean, as in there's the B12 and then a multivitamin, and a multivitamin should cover whatever other vitamin deficiencies you have. So it could be that you were low in more than one thing, but they would be covered by a multivitamin.
I can't believe he's still hammering the point. Fuck, man. I guess well, the only tool you have is a hammer. Every fucking problem is a nail. Ain't it, buddy?
Mm-hmm. So, like...
Next. This suitor is not going to work out. Let's move on.
Look, I get that you've come on YouTube. There's been a video. There's tension. It's kind of like annoying, and there's back and forth. But like the reason that you're getting shit, Blair, and I'm sure you kind of get the vegan perspective here, but I think you have to admit it's fair. Is that it is not hard to take those 2 things. It really isn't. And
Jesus Christ, this guy can't get a fucking clue, can he? Desperate as fuck.
It's really kind of just crazy to suggest that is such a burden on your life that it's okay to pay for cows.
No, it's not the pills that are the burden, you straw-manning ass motherfucker. Sorry, guys, don't mean to get excited. It's not the burden of taking the pills. It's the burden of feeling like a fucking 80-year-old when you wake up in the morning. But, yeah, you did take the health off the scale. We all see why now, don't we?
Do you think it's not a burden to supplement for your entire life?
No, I think that's something that the government recommends everybody should do.
Oh, the government!
And vegans. And I don't think it's that hard.
Okay, I think there can be government recommendations, but...
And if you ever adopt a kid or whatever, aren't you going to want your kid to just take a multivitamin? Are you going to accept the kid saying, it's too hard to take my fucking multivitamin in the morning? You're going to say, no, Billy, take your little fucking multivitamin and be healthy. And what the government tells you to.
Wait.
No, Billy, take your little fucking multivitamin and be healthy and do what the government tells you to.
Okay. Well, that just says it all, doesn't it? He's so desperate trying to basically beat her into submission with words, right? And she's not having any of it. He's gotten frustrated. He's starting to cuss. And, he's saying, take your fucking vitamin because the government says so. Right? That's really what this is about ask yourself, right? It's about jamming his ideology down people's throats, using force, essentially, right? Just going from one nutritional expert to 2, 3, 4, 5, to Big Brother, right? Just take your fucking vitamin because the government says so. That tells you everything you need to know. There's no logic in this guy's arguments. I'm not even sure they're arguments at all. It's just It's this authoritarian approach of fucking, you know, nail and hammer. Hit you over the head with the ideology. Keep repeating the shit over and over and over until it sinks in and you submit, right? Brainwash. Pure, unadulterated brainwash. Backed by government guns. Now, once again, I exaggerate to make a point, but you see this very much authoritarian desire, this desire to rule over people. I don't think this is about animals. Ask yourself, it's not about animals. Nah, I don't see this guy as a very empathetic person. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. It's possible. It's happened before. I see him as an authoritarian who just wants to control people. He's a control freak. And unfortunately, people like him give veganism a bad name and turn a lot of people off from the movement. But as if the movement itself didn't have enough problems, like the fact that even though it has compelling arguments, none of them are actually, not that I heard anyway, are convincing. There's very little logic behind them, and they just don't work. They're very easy to debunk. They're extremely easy to debunk. Very easy to debunk. Don't believe me? Ask yourself. You don't believe me? You should debate me. Not because my ego's any bigger than yours. No. It's because I hate fucking authoritarians. Now, I'm not saying veganism is wrong necessarily. All I'm saying is that no one's proved, at least not to me, that it's correct. And if you think you're men enough, ask yourself where you could stop tormenting people who are under duress with your bullshit. If you think you're men enough and you could actually step your game up, hopefully, and bring some real arguments and try to convince me that you're correct, I would love to have a debate with you. I would really enjoy it, I think. And don't sweat it, bro. I mean, no matter how much your ego might get bruised, and I'll be nice to you. In this debate, you'll always have your echo chamber to lick your wounds. So how about it, buddy? Quit picking on people who are not in the greatest state of mind and stop tormenting them. All right? Let's have a debate. Maybe we can do it on Blair's channel. I'm not saying this because I want notoriety. I will gladly do it anonymously. I got no problem with that. We could do it on your channel, even though I know you're going to erase the video as soon as it posts. But we could do that too. That's not a problem. But, you know, how about it, buddy? Come on now. Pick on somebody your own size. Thank you for listening.